Hello and welcome to this tutorial. My name is Arjun Singh. In the previous tutorial, we learned about the basics of objects and classes in Java. In this tutorial, we will learn more about the objects and classes. To learn more about the objects and classes, we have to get familiar with the idea of methods and constructors. So, let's get started. In the previous tutorial, we created a method here, show method, which is having one statement inside its body, which is going to print a statement show method called. So to declare a method in Java, what we need to do is we need to mention an access specifier, which is again public, private, protected, or default. By default, we don't mention anything. It's default. Then it has got a return type, means what exactly is a method going to return, and then the method name, which starts with the lowercase followed by a pair of parentheses. So this is the basic structure of declaring a method in Java. So a Java method is called to perform some specific purpose. So here this is called the definition or declaration of the method, and then when we need this method, we just create an object of this class, and using that object we will call this method. So let's do that. Here we already have an object of the student class, student object. So using this student object, we can call the show method. So let's save this and run this. So show method is called. We can also pass some arguments inside this method. Say we pass an integer here, integer I. So here we can print that as well. Say argument passed is, then we will print the value of I here. So since this show method is now having an integer argument, so let's first save this, and then this is showing a compile time error, which is obviously saying that add an argument to match show int. So to call this method now, what we have to do is we have to pass some integer argument here. Let's pass 100, save this and run this. Now show method is called and argument passed is 100. So typically method name is a verb in Java. So a method performs some specific task in Java. Like I mentioned in the previous tutorial, that while creating an object of a class, the class name is followed by a set of parentheses here. So whenever something is followed by a set of parentheses, means that is a method. So here this student constructor is a special type of method because it is being followed by a set of parentheses, a pair of parentheses. So a constructor is also a method. A constructor is a special type of method which is used to construct objects of a class, or which is used to initialize a value of an object. To understand it better, let me delete these 4 lines. They are no more required. Also, we will go in the class definition and delete these 4 getters and setter methods. Let's say this. To understand what a constructor is, what we are going to do is we are going to create a default constructor. A constructor is a special type of method which has got no return type. So unlike this show method which has got a return type void, we will not write a return type. And the second specialty of a constructor is that its name is same as the class name. So the name of our method is going to be student. Student followed by a set of parentheses followed by body. So this is the constructor of this class. This is called a default constructor. So I have just written the default constructor for our class student. If we don't write a constructor, default constructor, then it is supplied by the compiler itself. So like I said, a constructor is used to initialize values of an object. So how do we do that? So to do this, what we essentially do is we write our own constructor. Means we are not going to use this constructor which is being provided by the compiler. We are going to create our own constructor to supply the value of name and age to this student object. So to do this, what we will do, we write the constructor name or the class name followed by the pair of parentheses and the body, and here what we will do is we will supply a string, say student name, and an integer, say student age. And now what we will do is we will use this keyword, this dot age, means age of this student object will be this student age. So let me copy this and paste this here. Similarly, this dot name is going to be student name. So what essentially we are doing is we have defined a method or a constructor for this student class which will take one string and one integer argument and then set the values of object here. So to call this constructor, what we will do is just like this, we will create a new student object. This time we will use the constructor that we have just created, and here we have to pass student name. So let the name be B and let the age be 28. So this is a constructor. It does not have a return type, but then a constructor always return instance of that particular class. So this will return an instance or a reference of student class. So we have to write a student object here. Student is equal to new student. You can give any name here. And then what we can do is we will just print the name and age of the student. So system.out.println student dot. Here we don't have a getter method to get the name and age here. So what we can do is we can use this show method for that. So in the show method, this argument is not required anymore. So I'm deleting each and everything here. Now what we'll do is we will just print this dot age and this dot name. So essentially what this method is doing, it will print age and name of this object. This object means current object, because the keyword this refers to the current object. So essentially what we are doing here is we have created an object of the student class, and now we have to display the values that are stored here. So what we can do is we will just do student dot show and save it. Let's run this. So it is printing 28V. So I'll explain the flow once again. Here in the student class, what we did is we have written a default constructor which is being called by the compiler while the object is created, and then we have written our own parameterized constructor. It is called a parameterized constructor because it is taking some parameters. These parameters are being set in the age and name of this particular object. This refers to the current object, and then inside the show method we have printed the value of age and name. Inside the application class we have created an object of this student, and since we have supplied some values in the student object, so the same values will be shown using this show method. So this is how the constructor works in Java. And one more thing, just in case if you are curious that when is this particular default constructor is called, so what you can do is you can just write system.out.println default constructor called. Just save this and let's run this. So in the output window it is saying that default constructor called means at this particular line here the default constructor is being called, and when we do create an object of a student using the parameters, then the parameterized constructor means this particular constructor will be called. So this is how the constructors and methods work in Java. Thanks for watching.